All right, today we are dedicating to actors. People get quite excited about actors having political opinions. Perhaps it's the types of political opinions or the way they express them. So today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to hear from Siaka Massaquoi. He, of course, has a very storied career as an actor. He's had several different lives. He's also run for government. He's got a lot to tell us. He's also been rated for having been a January 6er. He has a lot to tell us. He contributes to Daily Wire and Fox News. You can follow him on X_Siaka, Siaka Massaquoi, Massaquoi. And then when Siaka and I finish up, we're going to talk to Gary Sinise. I think everyone knows Gary Sinise from, of course, Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan. And he has written a bestseller, and he's been advocating for U.S. service members and their families for quite some time. We're going to hear from him as well. And you stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want to help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
I'm excited to bring you a new product, a new supplement, Fatty. I take it. I make Susan take it. My whole family takes it. This comes out of, believe it or not, dolphin research. The Navy maintains a fleet of dolphins, and a brilliant veterinarian recognized that these dolphins sometimes developed a syndrome identical to our Alzheimer's disease. Those dolphins were deficient in a particular fatty acid. She replaced the fatty acid, and they didn't get the Alzheimer's. Humans have the same issue. And we are more deficient in this particular fatty acid than ever before. And a simple replacement of this fatty acid called C15 will help us prevent these syndromes. It's published in a recent journal called Metabolites. It's a new nutritional C15, pentadecanoic acid it's called. The deficiency that we are developing for C15 creates something called the cellular fragility syndrome. This is the first nutritional deficiency syndrome to be discovered in 75 years and may be affecting us in many ways, and as many as 1 in 3 of us. This is an important breakthrough. Take advantage of it. Go to fatty15.com/Dr. Drew to receive 15% off a 90-day starter kit subscription, or use code Dr. Drew at checkout for that 15% off, or just go to our website, drdrew.com/fatty15. All right, and also a reminder for everyone, we have now we've got some discount codes for the Senosync and the NR Boost. I'm telling you, Fatty 15, resveratrol is something you should be part of your regular diet, regular supplement, as well as nicotinamide riboside. It's at vshredmd.com/Dr. Drew. Is that it, Caleb? Or you can use the promo code Dr. Drew, I think, at vshredmd.com.
Yeah, they use the promo code Dr. Drew if they go to vshredmd.com, or they can just go to drdrew.com/vshredmd, and that automatically puts the code in.
Great. So I had them add PQQ to the NR because it increases mitochondrial growth in muscle and losing skeletal muscle. I'm convinced that resistance training and losing skeletal muscle is one of the major contributors to aging poorly and not staying well long. So if you want to take supplements that improve your oxidative state and improve your ability to maintain muscle mass, those are 2 very important things. And resveratrol now, with the advent of COVID and the vaccine, our natural killer cells are down. Resveratrol might boost that up a little bit, and fisetin is there to deal with some of the senescent cells in our system. Really good supplements, important for longevity. I take them every day, all 3. I suggest you do the same. All right, Siaka Massaquoi, he is an activist. He's fought for freedom during the COVID lockdowns. God bless him. He is a well-known actor, and he got raided by the FBI. Siaka, welcome to the program.
Hey, Doc, I was just taking some notes about what you were just saying. I wanted to make sure that I remember because I need that. My wife always tells me you got to eat more fat.
Nicotinamide riboside, PQQ, resveratrol, C19. These are like, we can do things about extending life now. We can make things, we can fight oxidative stress.
I love it. I love it. I know it's true because I used to listen to you when I was in high school, and you look exactly the same as when I was in high school. So
saying
you're doing something right, brother.
either that or I made a deal with the devil, one or the other. So in any event, so listen, I got a billion questions for you. Let me just start with simple things. When I looked you up, I was immediately referred by Wikipedia to a king, Siaka Massaquoi.
Yes.
Who is that, and how did that get selected from you? I understand you originally were born in Liberia, right? Is that a connection there?
I was born in Rochester, New York. But I'm first generation. My mom, my dad, everyone. There is a connection there. I'm actually named after King Siaka Massaquoi. In our family, the Massaquois, every generation, it's like tradition to name at least one kid Siaka to pass on the name. So it was actually pretty wild that I just learned about kind of the details. I knew about him in this kind of mythical standpoint within our family, but I didn't know like the details of his life till about 3-4 years ago. I started to do more research about it. It's like boom, blew my mind. So yeah.
And was he a West African king?
Yep.
Is that where that's from? Or yeah.
Yep. Yes, he was. He was right out of Sierra Leone, Liberia.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the history of that region is so important to the history of the world, and yet very few people know. I mean, the only thing I know of is the Mali king that was the richest guy in the world that went around probably 1,000 years before Massaquoi. And he crashed all the economy. He was so wealthy, he was able to crash all the economies in the world because he just handed out gold as he went across Europe.
Well, I tell you, a cool little point too was that King Siaka Massaquoi is the only African royal to get a crown from a European nation, which was from England.
Fascinating.
Which the Massaquoi family, they still have in the family today. So you can see some pictures of that. And then I found out through my wife, because after we got married, she was like, let me look up this name and find out what's going on. We have one of the first diplomats that went from Liberia to Germany. His name was Mamadou Massaquoi, who was the last king of Sierra Leone. So there is a book called The First Diplomat that was a biography about him. And so I've been reading about my great great grandfather over the last, I got that book about 2 years ago now. So it's pretty wild.
Keep reading. Keep reading. I think very few people understand that region, and it just has had such an impact on everything. So I'm all about it. All right. So you were a football player at Iowa, and then you became an actor. And what was the transition to sort of more politically active?
Well, for me, it's because before I got into acting in college, I was going to be a history teacher. I loved history. I love history. I love kids. And so to me, a statement that always threw me off was they always say you don't discuss politics and religion in a public forum. And I'm like, both of those things inform like whether stop signs come up in your neighborhood or not, whether you're going to pay a little more for your schooling. Those are hugely important points of view to kind of know what your neighbors and what you guys are thinking for a community. And so that always was kind of like in the back of my mind. I was in student government in high school and all that. But yeah, I focused on acting, got into that. But it wasn't until the shutdown, the COVID shutdown, mixed Trump being elected in 2016, being in LA and watching people that I've known lose their mind, like literally lose their mind and let the nastiest part of them kind of come out and feel and then get validation for that nastiness. But in 2020, with the shutdowns and that summer of love, seeing that the same industry that I was so worried about saying my beliefs in, that made my career, started a bail fund for these mostly peaceful protesters that were killing people around our country and destroying neighborhoods, including the South Side where my mom was living. I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm like, I don't care anymore. I don't care about what they think about me anymore. I'm going to just keep going to the route. I'm going to start going to these Trump rallies that are in Beverly Hills. I'm going to start. God gave me a gift in order to speak, put thoughts together in ways that maybe some other people couldn't, because I saw a lot of great feedback and people felt moved to want to take action. And And one of the things they used to say at speeches at rallies was, if you hate what you're seeing with your school board, you get involved. If you hate what you see in the city council, you get involved. You get involved. You get involved. And then I started getting DMs saying, hey, thank you for saying that, because I'm running for mayor, or it's a small town, or a city council, or this. And they would say, well, when are you getting involved, or what are you going to run? And I'm just like, I'm just an actor, right? And then I thought to myself, well, I can't keep telling people to do something I'm not willing to do. So I was like, well, in 22, I'm like, well, we'll get into the raid, but frustrated over the raid that happened in 21. I'm like, you know what? Let's throw my name in the hat. Let's get the messaging out there in this neighborhood, because not only are the incumbents not talking to people in LA for the most part, but the opposition doesn't. So the messaging never gets out. So people in these areas just think, oh, it's just only left just because it's left. Why? Because there's nothing else, kind of coming in to show them opposite. So I learned a lot running for office, and I really think it's important. I really think it's kind of like how every Jew in Israel has to serve the IDF. I really believe everyone should do some part of civil service, or get into political life in some way, whether it's help a campaign, run for office, or donate. But go see what it is, and you'll start to see kind of what we're really missing. Very surprising.
Yeah, I always quote, there's somebody, by the way, giving you a big up to Siaka as a fellow first generation who had the right kind of immigrant parents. Gracias. There it is. She put it up there.
Thank you.
But I always quote Alexis de Tocqueville, who wrote Democracy in America. A Frenchman, came here in 1820 to try to figure out why democracy worked, and his consistent point of view was that local practice of democracy was the reason democracy worked in America. And that's what you're advocating for. And we sort of have an obligation to do that. And I completely agree with you. But I'm sorry we lost you in California. You've retreated to the great state of Tennessee. Are you going to get active there?
Yes, I am actually. Actually, I'm going to be starting a new nonprofit, and I'm going to just wait before I announce it completely, but I am involved in that. I already spoke at a couple of events here in the county that I'm in, but I'm going to take my time getting involved, because Los Angeles over the last 4 years was really intense. It was ground zero for a lot from the COVID restrictions to the anti-Trump stuff. It was a lot. The school stuff that was going on. It was
the school stuff and school closure and the mandates and the masking and the vaccines. It was insane. The totalitarian overreach. But you had a very specific threat that I've heard people speak on repeatedly, which is, as an actor, you would just get destroyed by your peers and by the organizations within acting just for having a political opinion. And isn't that undemocratic? Isn't that what that is?
I actually think it is undemocratic, but even more, it's on artist, if you will, right? One of the reasons I became an artist was because where I was living and what I was going towards before, it was like, well, you kind of have to be in a certain box. And being an actor and getting to play different characters and be on different sets, different ideas, I saw that as an industry that was promoting different thought patterns. And so when I started, it probably, from like 20, basically after Trump got elected, I started seeing it get turned off and people going, if you are this, I don't want anything to do with you. And it happened to me. I was on this, I was connected with this one woman who, at the time, we were good friends. And I know you talk about addiction. I'm an alcoholic, and she was going through her issues, and I was on the better side of it. And I allowed her to stay in my house for, a couple months at a time. And we started doing a project about horror stories out of Africa, right? We had a bunch of different people together from that first generation and wanted to do like a mini series, almost like a Black Mirror, but with African horror stories. And
fantastic.
Yeah, it was been pretty cool. But I was at the Trump rally in Beverly Hills, and I get a text from her. It was like, "Is this you?" And it's a picture of me, and there's this guy named Stephen Davis, known as MAGA Hulk, who's like this 6'6" black dude, just super big. Why to call him MAGA Hulk? And he's wearing the "Make America Great Again" hat. And then she sent me another picture of me and 4 other guys. All of them were black, But because we're at the Trump rally with MAGA hats, she said to me, I'm going to have to remove you from the project because we believe we're not racist and we care about black people. Mind you, both pictures she sent me for her evidence.
Was she black?
Yes. Yes. So everybody associated from the picture to the conversation with black, but then she tells me, well, we support black people. That's why I got to kick you off. And I'm like,
well, this is, we must assail that kind of thinking, because think about what that is. That is the most narcissistic of all the signaling that is out there, which is, hey, I hate you. First of all, that's already bizarre. Or I reject you, cancel you. You can't exist, which is about as violent as you can get. Because, hey, I care more than you, and you don't care. But me, I care. I'm so important. I care so much. Yeah, and yet doing something for anybody, no, I just care. No. And then I discharge that emotion. Brilliant.
Yeah, and that's the thing that always got me, because I would hear this stuff, but like, and I don't say this to brag or anything, but friends of mine, like me and one buddy, would go out, and for about 5 months, every Sunday we went to, or every Saturday we went to Skid Row, and we would do, give out free food and clothing there. Before the shutdown happened in 2020, I was going to a juvenile detention centers every Tuesday and speaking to, the young kids there. And
I'm sure the woman that cares so much was doing just as much as you. I'm sure she cared so much that she was there every day, right? Oh no, she didn't go at all. Oh, okay.
She didn't go at all. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. It's like rules for thee, not for me, as Stephen always says,
100%.
It broke my heart, but and we can get into it. The kind of, I said, a growth process, and I would call it just birthing pains. I think when we transition, is we all go through that. It's been kind of crappy on one end, but then on the other side has been extremely joyful. And I mean, one of the reasons I'm wearing this, gratitude hat, because everything good and bad that has happened to me, I'm so grateful because of where I am today and my connection with the Lord and the people who have come in my life and friendships that have been created. Doc, I'm telling you, it's like people I've known for decades shut off like this. And there are people who have shown up in my life over the last few years who have been there for the birth of my kid. Yeah. Xavier.
New baby.
And been there more.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's our news right there. She was just, huge. So that is Olive.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Olive Avea. She was just born yesterday at 6:30. And
oh wow, she's one of those alert babies. Watch out. This one's gonna do something.
Oh, I know. Wow, you should see her brother
looking right at the camera.
Yeah.
Wow.
Her and her brother, they're gonna be. Her brother's 15 months old, so we got 2 under 2. We're really, we like to live on the edge here in our family. So
you're in it. Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Oh yeah.
Have you written any books?
Not yet, but I am writing my book now, because I think the time is right for this, where I can tell my full story, including J6, but then also kind of what I was seeing growing up and getting to this point, and the acting and everything to today.
Well, let's talk about J6 a little bit. One of the things you said, before we do that, one of the things you said to me I thought was kind of interesting before the cameras heated up here. You said that we need to get better at story, I think you said. And I'm going to let you riff on that a little bit, but let me just frame it first by saying one of my great sources of frustration with my camp, liberal camp, is the reliance and the complete subversion, or subjugation of any ideas to something they call narrative. And narrative can be completely detached from reality. It doesn't have to have any connection to the reality. It only has to be emotional, subjective. That's it. And so I've been very, very leery of narrative. I want facts. I want logic. I want what's pragmatic. But I know that humans learn and respond through story. So have at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's... So we're talking about kind of the big swath, right? Like, how do you get the impact on the biggest population? And to your point, you like, give you data. And I like data too, but what moves the heart? And it is something that hit me when I ran for office, right? I was walking around neighborhoods. I knocked on this door. The lady opened it up and she recognized me from my Babylon Bee sketches, California moved to Texas. So she starts laughing, gives me a big hug. The whole time I'm there, we're just talking about, yeah, LA's crazy and like, oh, the show's so funny. Before I get home, she sent me a $500 donation, and that hit me. Boom. What got her there? Because we all agreed on the facts on the table. We all agreed that it was like, this sucks, that sucks, the parenting stuff, all that. But what moved her? The fact that I could make her laugh. It's why do you see Dave Chappelle come on the stage and before he says anything, you start laughing? Is because once they capture the heart, once you're able to capture the heart, which is done through storytelling, true or not true storytelling is still done there. You're able to then shift and sways people's kind of understanding or idea of what they want out of life. Now, what I believe that we can do, and I said it earlier, especially on the side of the fence, so we're conservative, we're Republican. Most of us on this side believe in Jesus Christ. And by believing in him, you have to remember he was the greatest storyteller that ever lived. That's how he captured. He wasn't in there and you can go look. He doesn't say, I'm God, follow me or you're going to hell. No, he told stories. And that captured people's hearts so much that it changed the world. Where on the right, I feel like, and I love all these guys from your Ben to your Charlie to, to Dave Rubin, any one of these guys, they'll give you the stats. And while it's wrapped up in the comedy of errors of the left, it's still not telling a story. So I think capturing the will and the heart of the people can be harder because it's acquired taste. If you like Charlie or not, then that's just it. You're not going to sit and listen to it, right? And so what I've been trying to push over these last 4 or 5 years and talking to companies like your Daily Wire and Turning Point is like, we need a series. We need something that's going to come into people's rooms every day or once a week, and they can relate to the characteristics of these individuals, right? So when you can sit there and you can identify, for example, in the early 2000s, we had Friends. And so you remember people would go, you're such a Rachel, you're such a Ross. I'm like a this. It's like, how many times do you hear people say, I'm a Ben Shapiro? I'm a Charlie Kirk. No, even though those guys are influential, it's the character that we try to emulate. It's the attributes and characteristics that can be easier to connect with. And so I think on the right, just like old Hollywood statement, we need to start showing and stop telling. We need to start to show, if we're saying this is a better way of living, why don't we show how much fun it is to be a father, how much fun it is to be in a committed relationship, how much fun it is to remember where you come from and hold up the values of this country. We got to start showing it. Have more barbecues. That's what I'm a big fan of. Get out there and have more barbecues, people.
I'll join you. I'm there. You're in the right part of the country now. So I always said when we were doing Loveline that back in the day on MTV and radio and whatnot, was that the story was the case, the individual caller that came in with their story. It was a case. And then you add comedy and music. You didn't mention music. Music is another thing that moves people. So
music is huge.
Comedy, story, music.
Music is the biggest.
Yeah. So those
like to
three, if you can bring some of them in.
Well, it's like Bryson Gray right now. And you see a lot of the Christian music or the right music that's been moving forward. It gets you. I always say music describes your emotions with words without stumbling. Even when we're having this conversation here, there's music is just the clean description of your emotion without stumbling. Such a smooth way. And that's why you can remember a song that you heard when you were in junior high, standing next to that girl you had a crush on, even if you hadn't heard it in 20 years, because it hits you, boom, right here. But I also think that's why you see a lot of terrible issues in music too, because of how powerful it can be for good.
Let's quickly go over your experience at J6. What got you there? What did you think after you wandered around? And how shocking was it to have the FBI show up at your house?
Well, first going there, that was my third time in DC in about 5 months. My reasoning was, honestly, I was like, man, this is going to be a historic day. I want to kind of just be there and see what happens. Part of it was I believed that everyone's cell phones were going to be the narrative breaker for what the left was going to say. I knew the left was going to say something. I knew they were going to make it seem like it was worse than whatever happened was. But I felt, and at the time, I think naively, was, oh, everyone had, whether it was 500,000 people or plus, you had 500,000 cameras, i.e., video recordings that can then come
Witnesses.
on, a bunch of people's screens, witnesses. And we saw with the J6 committee, and they, held back 60,000 hours that could have helped a lot of people. But when I was there, outside of it being cold, it was one of the warmest experience that I had when, listened to the speech. Then we ended up going after he said patriotically and, go march to the Capitol, have your voices heard. We start going, and the friend I was with, I'm like, at this point, I've been going to rallies since probably April of 2020. So I'm like, okay, I get rallies. It's too cold. I'm going back inside the hotel. And so I go inside, and I'm always curious about how the other side frames anything. As is me, I like to hear both sides because I lived institutionally captured on one side for too long. And so then I said, I turned on MSNBC. I see a reporter talking down about the event, making it sound like it was not only desperate, it was also dangerous. And I'm like, no, I'm going to put my shoes on, go stand behind her, and like be that crazy black dude you always see. And they'll be like, no, you're crazy. Wear my MAGA hat and be like, look, I'm not white, And so I start. So I start walking down, and as I walk down from the Marriott next to the Freedom Plaza, people are coming back the other way, and I'm just like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, hey, is it over? People are like, no, there's still people over there. I'm like, okay. I head down, and I just see a big group of individuals just walking around. I look over, and I see the American flag hanging over the scaffold. I actually ran into Stephen Davis there, I mentioned earlier, and literally just bumped into him, and we're like, oh, and some lady recognized us from the Beverly Hills rally. So we started doing we did an interview. We sang the national anthem. Then as I get closer to the Capitol buildings, I walked upstairs. That's when I started smelling the remnants of tear gas. I actually then saw the kind of a crowd standing below, where cops standing above a little elevated area. And people were just like standing there. And one lady jumped up and kind of started dancing funny, like just being an idiot. It wasn't anything crazy. Cop pushes her down and then sprays her and the whole group with bear spray. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, that was a little over the top. And so then I walk around, I'm recording, and I go to a side door where people are walking in, and I say, oh, is this where they're letting people in? And I heard somebody go, oh, yeah. So we start kind of meandering in like we're going to a concert or whatnot, or a football game. And I get stopped as I get right past the threshold. I get stopped maybe a foot or two inside. And there were a couple cops standing right on to my left. And there were cops, probably 20 or 30 of them, standing against the wall, just hanging out. It definitely didn't feel like what the media was telling people at the time. Then one cop came over and was like, hey, I need you guys to go back the other way now. I'm like, okay, we're being reasonable, sir. We're passing all your directive. I turn and I say that to people behind me, and we clear out the doorway. Altogether, that was 71 seconds in that doorway. I walk around some more and see people just kind of hanging around, like screaming back and forth through the cops. There were some people screaming at the cops, but it wasn't anything too crazy. I actually did see a couple guys try to push other men forward, which was very weird because leaders don't, and real men don't push other people in front of their goals. They say, follow me, right? As I was leaving, I kind of joke, and I look over to my right. I see the cars parked, and I say to people walking next to me, I go, if this was a BLM rally, all these cars would be burnt right now. We all start laughing, and we head back. I go back to the hotel. I fly home the next day. Didn't think anything of it. And then about a week later, raids started happening. I started going after people, and I'm like, well, okay, but I'm pretty public. Like I don't wear any military type gear outside of like maybe that American shirt right there. Actually, I got the same one on today.
You didn't have a buffalo hat on.
No, I didn't do what Jake did. I was just like, and in fact, I remember going, I thought that guy's a plant when I remember seeing him there, and none of that stuff. And I was like, well, when I do my stuff, I always try to bring a little bit of humor behind it, a little bit of fun, to show we could still fight, but fight, joyously. And I didn't think that they would even look my way until June 10th of 21, pre-dawn raid. It came into my house. They got my roommates, my godsons. They got the other two roommates, and then I was like waking up out of a fog, hearing FBI, FBI, thinking it was a dream. And I'll never forget just going, No way. You got to be kidding me. Not me. Like, I didn't have a bunch of followers. I'm broke. I don't have money like that. And like, so I'm like, why just me? I thought they were kind of going after bigger names or the Proud Boys or whoever. And no, they were going after everyone. And so when I opened my room door down my hallway, as I walk out, my dog runs past me. 2 agents turn, boom, the ARs just pointed right in my face. With all I could see is the light and their silhouette. And there's like FBI hands in the air. And I say, hey, please don't shoot my dog. They say, friendly dog, because there are some people getting their dog shot and killed. And so took us all out. I was yelling, I need to see a warrant. The agent was like, well, this isn't an arrest, so it's not one of those. Like, you don't need to see. I talked to my lawyer. He goes, that's not what this is. And he talked to me later. He goes, look, we see you on social media. We know you're not violent. That's why this is not an arrest. So they took my computer, my cell phone, both computers, my cell phones, my flash drives, even my MAGA hat. But they didn't arrest me or charge me that day. Now, for 3 years in between that raid, I was on I was on an extra security fly list called Quiet Skies. So that means every time I flew, I had to go check my identity at the front desk. That took about 45 minutes to an hour. I had to TSA full body check of my stuff, everything else that I was carrying. When I got to the gate, they would do the full body check again. So if I had like a delay or I had to exchange or change flights somewhere else to get to my final destination, I was always late. I've missed flights.
Oh my God.
I would be checked 3 or 4 times before I would even get to my destination. So, yeah. And then they ended up arresting me on November 30th of 23, coming back from Tennessee to LA after the premiere of Lady Ballers with Daily Wire, which I was in that movie. My wife was 7 months pregnant with my son at the time. And as soon as I stepped foot on the tarmac, an agent came in front of me and was like, Siaka Massaquoi, come with us. 2 agents jump on either side. And they said, we're going to have to arrest you for, and you know what for? I go, no, you're going to tell me what you're arresting me for. They're like, for you being there January 6th. I was like, I didn't do it. I was a little more pissed than I am explaining it now, but they took me to jail that night. And when they took me to jail, mind you,
guys, have you had any contact with those FBI agents since? They should be ashamed of themselves. They should be embarrassed.
No, I haven't. And hopefully they get rid of them, because everyone who raided and arrested J6ers, they got bonuses. Just so everyone knows, they got bonuses. That's why their budget ballooned after 2021 and all the operations.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was when he set me down.
You were pardoned.
Yes, I was the part.
Well, what happened?
So when they set me down and showed me what my charges were, it was like, it was all 4 misdemeanors. And I'm like, wait, you raided my house, you kept my stuff all this time, and I've been on this security flight list for 3 years. You arrest me at the tarmac in front of my wife and other people, and they were all for misdemeanors. So, we go through that process, and my court date was actually set for January 21st of 2024 or 2025. Yeah, 2025. And so after Trump wins, the lawyer's like, hey, court, can we push it out? Because he's going to pardon everybody. The judge is like, nope, see you here on the 21st. And so we had to fly to DC on the 21st, wake up. I get a text that night on the 20th, and all January 6ers were in a sense pardoned or cases dropped. That morning, I get an official letter from the court saying that all my charges were dropped with prejudice, meaning that they can never bring it back up against me again. And it was surreal. An former FBI agent told me the punishment is the process, and that's what they want to put as many people through as possible. Financially, luckily enough, I was helped by so many donations out there, because I know a lot of people took plea deals because they couldn't afford $100,000 to fight misdemeanors, and that was done on purpose.
I'm so mortified, but I'm thinking of the gratitude statement on your hat and how these experiences and the excesses, the totalitarian excesses in California and COVID and now your January 6th raids, how those revealed things that I bet you, like me, never believed were possible in this country. I just didn't understand that we could do this, or that that my profession would do the things it did, that the government would do, that the public health would do the things it did, that the FBI would do the things it did. It's just uncanny to me that we lived through that. But I'm grateful that we've gotten through it and it exposed itself to us, and now we can insist on our freedom on the other side.
Well, I think you're 100% right that if it was going to happen, it happened in a country like America because, and my mom told me this 2 years ago. My grandfather was the main pastor at the main church back in Liberia, and he used to speak about politics from the pulpit. And the administration came to him and told him to stop speaking on it. He said no. A week later, his driver set up a crash to get him killed, which it did. So that's how it works in other countries, where whether it's through the driver or we've seen, I think Mexico, there's 36 people shot or assassinated before this last presidential election. Please, fact check me on that, but it was a double digit. It's like, that's the difference. So as terrible as it was for so many of us here, oh man, it's so it's so fortunate that if it happens here because our Constitution, I believe, is set up so that it can snap back and fight against this in the long run. There's other places, like I just explained, where you're just done. You're gone because you're on the wrong side of power.
I get it.
Yeah,
well, listen, my friend, I appreciate you being here. And I appreciate the fight you're fighting, and that you're being a wonderful parent. And I hope we can see you again in acting. I mean, I have many people I know that don't want to go back to acting because they no longer have the kind of appreciation of their peers. They're like, if these are the people, this is how they are able to pay you, I don't want to be around them. But I hope you will, and keep fighting the fight. Well, where do you want people to go to find you?
Well, check me out on X. Well, check me out on X at _Siaka Massaquoi, on Instagram at Siaka _Massaquoi. But I got this. Hey, is that Gary?
He's coming in. We're going to get him in just a second.
But you can see this winter. I'm in a musical Christmas movie called The Best Thing About Christmas, which I'm super excited about. I just got brought on as an actor and producer of a movie coming up called Baby Shower, a pro-life comedy, which is amazing. I was in Vindicating Trump, the January 6th movie with the guys at the B, and we are just getting ready to do season 2 of California Move to Texas. So I do believe acting is still a gift the Lord gave me, and I'm not turning away from that. I think we just do it on this side, and there's opportunities opening up.
Well, congratulations. And I hope you will keep us posted and let us come to premieres or repost your stuff.
Yes.
I am following you on X right now, so I got you. So I'll be looking for you. DM me
so
sometime and hope to see you in person.
Yeah,
we are
same
friends.
Here.
We are officially friends. All right, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me.
And
you got it.
I'll tell Corolla hi for you. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be rejoined in just a couple of minutes by Gary Sinise. We're going to talk a little support for the vets and what's in store on 4th of July, and what should be perhaps the thinking we should. I'm trying to say this poetically, but I'm not coming up with the right words except to say to take a beat to think about those that have sacrificed so much to get us where we are today. Right back with Gary Sinise. The Wellness Company knows that taking charge of your family's healthcare is a top priority, and that's why they're constantly innovating to deliver the products and services to help you be rationally ready. Be sure to have the medical kit for kids on hand, whether you're a parent or grandparent. It treats 20 childhood conditions, including nausea and vomiting, allergies, asthma, inflammatory illnesses, even bioterror, God forbid. Listen, croup, ear infections, lice, it's all available in the pediatric emergency kit. You can also order the kids kit with an EpiPen should your child be at risk of anaphylaxis. And those EpiPens are carefully sourced and well priced relative to other EpiPens in the market. All 7 kits, each customized for a different purpose, come with a telemedicine consultation and a guidebook. Skip the scramble to an urgent care waiting room full of sick people and expense, or a pharmacy where there's no guarantee they'll have what you need. Go to drdrew.com/TWC for 10% off any medical emergency kit, or the supplements for that matter. That again is drdrew.com/TWC. Every household should have a bottle of active skin repair as part of your first aid supplies. It comes in a spray or hydrogel, and it's great for babies and kids as well. The healing solution for your home actually started out in the hospital. I sat down with CEO Justin Gardner.
I had started to give it out to all my friends and family, and I could see people just became evangelical about it.
Right.
And when we started to joke, we called it the WD-40 skin repair.
My personal experience was with our infant granddaughter, Eloise. There she is. Her parents were already using it before we ever heard of it to deal with diaper rash, irritation. And then I wound up sustaining a wound during a workout at a hotel gym overseas. And I was so happy to have active skin repair in my suitcase.
Hypochlorous acid and what's our active ingredient in active skin repair, over 100 peer-reviewed clinical articles on it. It's cool because it's really powerful, but simple science. We're replicating the same molecule that your white blood cells produce.
Justin's company also makes a fantastic face and body hydrating serum. I use it every day. It's made with hyaluronic acid, another molecule our bodies produce. If you would like some for 20% off an already great price, go to drdrew.com/skin repair. That is drdrew.com/skin repair.
Now, if you want to see stars, you have to watch them dance, dive, or go to rehab with Dr. Drew.
Dr. Pinsky told me that you are having some issues.
He says I'm depressed.
Are you?
Dr. Drew.
Gary Sinise needs no introduction, but I will do so nevertheless. He came into our lives as Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump, and he has been an extraordinary advocate for veterans and those who fight for our freedom. You can follow Gary on X, Gary Sinise, S-I-N-I-S-E. Also, the Gary Sinise Found, and also Gary Sinise Official on Instagram, and Gary Sinise Foundation on Instagram as well. Gary, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me. Good to be with you.
Looking great, sir. Let's talk about the meaning of July 4th and what we should all be thinking as we take a beat to give thanks on the 4th of July.
Well, it's a great holiday. Obviously, we have some birthdays coming up here, so it's very exciting what's going to be happening. But this is an acknowledgement of our independence, obviously, and what it takes to keep us free. I remember at an early age. I mean, I'm sure you can remember our 4th of July parades, and I was in many of them as like a Cub Scout, and riding in the parades. I remember early on in Highland Park, Illinois, where I grew up and started Steppenwolf Theater. I remember getting on one of our board members had an old fire truck, and we would get on that fire truck every 4th of July and ride in the parade and promote Steppenwolf Theater, and flags would be everywhere. And it's just it's a great holiday to celebrate our independence and to acknowledge and remember what it takes to keep us free. There's a lot of men and women who have sacrificed over these many years to do that.
Yeah, I was just talking to Siaka a few minutes ago, and he was talking about his expressions of gratitude. And one of the things we were discussing was, so many of us, I think, were lulled into some sort of apathy that freedom was just something that we took for granted, or it's just we're at a point in human history where people understand that freedom is an essential part of thriving. And yet we just went through several experiences, COVID, mandates, all these crazy things, where the government with great ease came into our lives and into our bodies and stepped in. And it made many of us think, oh my God, we cannot take freedom for granted. And as soon as you do that, you naturally think about veterans.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. I started going on trips overseas to the war zones and various places where our troops were deployed many, many years ago, 2 or 3 decades ago. And one of the places that I went early on, probably 2004, so it's over 20 years ago, is the DMZ between North and South Korea. And when you stand on that border, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's one of the most interesting places because on one side, the side over here, it's free. There's freedom here. And if you're looking at North Korea over here, it's slavery there. And at one point on one of my trips to the DMZ, I've been there 3 or 4 times, North Korean guards, you can see them up on this, in front of this building, and they have binoculars and they're watching you. And on one of these trips, those North Korean guards walked all the way down to the little cinder block border. I mean, you can step over the border. I think you saw President Trump do that when he visited the DMZ. He stepped right over into North Korea. Well, you can do that. And these North Korean guards came down, and they were 2 feet away from me, and I was staring at a North Korean guard. The ROK soldiers, the Republic of Korea soldiers behind me, they understand what freedom is. And this poor guy who's staring me in the face had no concept of what living in a free society means. He's been brought up to worship the supreme leader, and that's it. And, when you go to places like that really don't know what freedom is, you value your own freedom all that more, and you value the people that are willing to defend it and protect it all that more.
Yeah. That and, that story reminds me of other things that the last few years have sort of exposed us to, which is something, again, I naively thought humans had sort of gotten over, was their tendency to be brainwashed or swept into hysterias like in 1935 Germany and things. Lo and behold, we're quite capable of it still.
Well, sure. Yeah, sure. And now it's intensified, isn't it? Because of the internet. I mean, it's so much more intensified because of what, the misinformation or the lies, all the things that we believe, that we read, that appear to be true, but they're not. So all of that is intensified, and you really do have to be proactive in how you assimilate your information and how you process it.
Oh man, my understanding now is I can trust literally nothing in the press. I mean, I'll listen, but I don't trust any of it is accurate. I mean, nothing, zero. But I'll still listen. But the really interesting thing that started happening to me lately is I'm having trouble like finding my way. Like, who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? Who's crazy? Who's not? With all this, as you said, the inundation with information, you can get lost really easily.
Totally. And you have to be very, how many times have you had some friend pass on a piece of information to you that they saw on the internet or something like that, and it looks absolutely legitimate, and you go, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. And then you go and you do your search and you send it back to them and say, you better be careful about what you're sending out there. It's so easy to be sucked in.
Well, Gary, I wish that was the story I could tell, but instead it's like, oh my God, retweet. Oh, then I find out that it's not true. I'm like,
and then yes, I do. Somebody blames you. Yeah,
I get attacked. I get attacked. Exactly right. And so, but it has taught me to be very careful with what I read. And as you said, the misinformation. The real problem is I don't want anybody deciding for me what is or is not misinformation. That's the real danger we're getting into with these sorts of topics.
Yeah, it's so easy to get sucked in because so much of it can appear to be very, very legitimate. And I'm just suspect about a lot of things.
Think about AI, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, how is it not going to get worse? It's going to get more and more intense, and we have new generations that all they do is watch this stuff. So they're going to buy into a lot of it, and there's going to be a lot of bad information out there for sure.
Although I'm a little more positive these days because I'm seeing parents really resist the screens. The previous generation kind of leaned into it as a babysitting instrument, and I think the current crop of young parents get that it's going to negatively affect their kids' mental health at just the minimum impact. Is going to make them unhappy. And worse, God knows what else can happen as a result. These kids are exposed to so much.
Oh, it's so easy to, you have a little 5-year-old, little 6-year-old, they're antsy, they're crazy, they're bouncing off the walls here and there. You're in a restaurant or something like that. How easy is it to just go, here you go, stare at that for a while I eat my dinner. Yeah. A lot of people do that. I know that. But, you have to separate something like that from just letting them absorb these screens all day long. That is very, very damaging, and people have to be worried about it.
For sure. So let's kind of get into the meaning of the fourth and the foundation. What do you want people to know about the foundation? I understand there are specific 4 programmatic pillars of the foundation.
Yes, we have. We are in our we have just entered our 15th year. So we just celebrated our 14th anniversary. Thank you. Launched the foundation publicly on June 30th, 2011. I was the first donor. I put up all the startup money, all of that. We created a website, so it was ready when we launched it. We were at the National Press Club, launched it. A lot of media coverage around it, so we were immediately taking in donations and people going to the website to learn about what we were doing in the beginning. In the beginning, we had several programs, but not nearly what we have now, because we have the resources now, having built up our donor base over a number of years and having succeeded in a lot of our activities over the years. We have a fairly substantial donor base. We always want to do more at the Gary Sinise Foundation. There are many initiatives at the Gary Sinise Foundation and programs. We have, we provide grants, we provide transportation, we provide housing, we provide food, we provide support. I take my band out. I've played almost 600 concerts on military bases and military hospitals over the years to provide, morale boost and, support, making sure the men and women who are serving our country out there and their families know that we're not forgetting about them when they're out there. I'm about to go on another 4-show concert trip next weekend, going to Fort McCoy, and I'm going to Rockaway to do a big Support the Vets concert out there, a Warrior Weekend in Rockaway. I'll be at Cantini Park in Wheaton, Illinois, for a big Rock and the Vets kind of concert. So we're out there all the time. Right. If you go to GarySiniseFoundation.org, you can learn a lot about our programs, and you can go to our YouTube channel and you can view dozens and dozens of videos that show our programs in action and show the people that we're serving in action. I mean, these are folks. We've built almost 100 specially adapted, smart technology, mortgage-free homes for very, very badly wounded service members over the years. And these can be life-changing homes. When you give a wounded soldier, a service member who's got missing multiple limbs, maybe a traumatic brain injury, his wife maybe is a full-time caregiver, and you give them a mortgage-free house that is specifically designed to fit their needs, that could be a game changer for them and the family. And they deserve it. They've given a lot. And all we have to do is raise some money and, build them a house. And so we have lots of wonderful corporations and companies that come in and help us with these homes. We do all kinds of stuff at the Gary Sinise Foundation. I really encourage people to go to our foundation website and skim around and see all the things we're doing.
I don't think anyone is not aware of the Gary Sinise Foundation. And I think if you're not, you do need to go get behind it and see what they've been up to. And it does, as we're heading into the 4th of July, I just want to reflect on, first of all, your great service to the people that allowed us to protect our freedoms, but that Abraham Lincoln felt that the founding principle of this country was laid out in the Declaration of Independence, that we have this wonderful Constitution and all these great ideas, but that really the basic idea upon which everything was founded was all men are created equal. And in order to defend that, we have to defend it on a regular basis, and we can't forget that. Gary, I really appreciate you being here. I will certainly go see what you guys are up to at the GarySiniseFoundation.org, and always wanted to meet you, and you do not disappoint. I really appreciate you coming by.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'll look forward to in person one day.
I would love that very much. Thank you, Gary. Gary Sinise, everybody go support Gary Sinise Foundation as we think about what we can do during this 4th of July celebration. There's something you can do. Is go over and support Gary Sinise. Obviously, he knows He knows what he's doing to support our troops. Let me quickly go to what you guys are talking about on the Restream and over on the Rumble Rants. Oh, we have a few naysayers in there. Here we go. Takes care of first responders. That's true. Gary Sinise Foundation is always taking care of first responders. That's right as well. And it's just really nice to have somebody like Gary Sinise on as we head into the 4th of July. I hope you guys are all planning to do something fun for the 4th. It's a holiday to get together with family, to go to the beach, as Siaka was saying, barbecue. He's big on barbecue. I think that's a perfect way to spend the holiday if you can. We'll be heading to New York City, and we'll be doing shows from New York City next week. We appreciate, as always, it's a chance to think about gratitude, as Siaka was saying as well. We appreciate our viewers. We appreciate you over at Rumble. I know you guys put us on the homepage today. We appreciate that. And if you guys have any questions, this is a chance, and you guys are expressing gratitude as well, I see on the Restream, and we do appreciate that. I'm seeing if you guys have any questions or anything. Janice Perkins loves the 4th. Yeah, well, I'm going to be watching the Rose Bowl fireworks display, which somebody here in the stream was saying this year is going to be a big drone display, which I've not seen a huge drone display on the 4th ever, I don't think. And I know, obviously, they do them all over the world, but how fantastic to see one cruising over the Rose Bowl. I'm looking for it. We have a friend that lives near the Rose Bowl, and we watch from their house, so we get to see over what's going on. Thank you, everybody. I'm just seeing if you have anything else to say, and I don't think so. And the big, beautiful bill, I believe, is being signed as we speak. Let me see if that actually happened. Give me 1 second. Not yet, from what I can tell, but I don't know if, Mr. Trump, amongst other things, is one for the show. And so in my mind, I suspect he'll be, if I'm reading President Trump correctly, I suspect he'll be signing it on the 4th. That sounds like him to me. He'll sign the big beautiful bill on the 4th, or he will get it done this evening so it is in place by the 4th. I suspect it'll be on the 4th.
Fact check.
Do you agree with me, Caleb?
Fact check, though. We can no longer call it the big beautiful bill, Drew, because Chuck Schumer had the grand victory of getting the name changed yesterday or 2 days ago.
Okay,
so
what do we call it now?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. He's probably some Bill 2478725 or some weird name, but you can't. They're not calling it that anymore because he had the grand victory.
I hope, and let me do just a quick sketch on Medicaid. I have been through multiple waves of reduction of Medicare resources, Medicaid resources, and I will tell you what happens. Nobody is denied care in America ever. Wherever they are, they get care. Guys like me, we deliver the care for free. Hospitals, they eat it. Now, they try to recoup their expense, and the doctors just eat it. It's impossible for us. But the hospitals try to recoup their expense, often from counties. So counties sometimes bear the burden when Medicaid and federal funds and state funds dry up. To some extent, there's a complicated sort of formula there where the counties are getting resources from the state and from the federal government and whatnot. But I was working in the county system when it was literally going bankrupt because of situations like this. And at the same time, and we're going to head into something like that in California because Governor Newsom quietly has withdrawn funds from the care of undocumented immigrants. So we were dealing with that back in the early 80s as well, because there was war in Central America and people were legitimately running away from that war and ending up in the county system. So I've seen it happen. It will happen again. There seems to be some sort of back and forth we do as regards to this. But this idea that people will die because of Medicaid being restricted, absolutely hogwash. Now, I don't know what's going to happen as a result of people being nervous about going to a system for medical care that they could be referred to ICE. Again, back in the 80s and 90s, we had the same problem, and we were not allowed to ask people about their immigration status. That's how they got around it then. The medical caretakers, we didn't know. We were blinded to it. And so there were no deportations out of the hospital. So people eventually became more comfortable coming to the hospital. So this is not a new thing. That was 45 years ago, everybody. I was dealing with it then. I've decided that my new frame for how I talk to the public will be as a time traveler. I've traveled from a different era. I've traveled forward in time. I've seen an era where we treated psychiatric problems, where we treated addiction. We didn't let them lie down on the sidewalk and die. And we also dealt with this exact same problem with asylum seekers, with undocumented immigrants, and with lack of Medicaid funds. It's the same exact thing. This is not a new phenomenon. So stop with the rhetoric, stop with the narrative bullshit, stop it already. Now, we'll see how this all shakes out. Maybe in this era, it will be different. I don't know. I would say that the medical system is better organized to deal with this now than it was back in the 80s. It was very fragmented back then, and things ended up always at the county. And now they'll probably end up at community hospitals and things as well. So we'll see. We'll see how this all goes. But I, as someone who works in and around this system, I am not desperately concerned. I'm concerned about people not coming for health care. They need to do so, but they will get care. I've been through probably 4 incarnations of restriction of medical funding where people have gone on rants about people dying in the streets. The latest one was, what was it about abortions? Or back alley, there'll be back alley abortions. No, it's a pill. Vast majority of the time. And when people need abortions, they'll get them. They're not allowed to die. And I understand there have been some weird ethical things that doctors have been put in. We found our way through that. You notice that you don't hear those stories anymore. And there's always a little period of adjustment, but we figured these things out. That is one thing that the medical system in this country does always. We do the right thing. Even as all the craziness swirls around us in terms of the resources and again, the mandates, and now the on-high mandates from employers and things that we didn't have in the past, which maybe that will adulterate things a little further. I don't know. We'll see. But having said all that, Caleb, let's put up upcoming guests here. We have, we'll be from New York. I'm not sure we're all set there. Elizabeth Kucinich, Debbie Lehrman again, Lila Mickelwaite. She is on a campaign to hold Pornhub accountable. She's got an incredible story for the sex trafficking that goes on there. There are people who, apparently thousands of people have stuff up there they can't get taken down. Jana McCarthy on the 17th, David Kate on the 22nd. How do you pronounce his name? I know, David Kite. Somebody help me with that. Any event, I've got to do something for Fox News right now, and the van is here for me to get set up to get that set up. So we appreciate you being here. Have a great 4th, everybody, and we'll see you. Hang on now. Did we switch to Monday for the next show?
Well, no, not on Monday. But it's on the 8th. So we're on the 8th. We're going to do it at noon Pacific. It'll be a little bit earlier, 2 hours
Tuesday
earlier than usual.
Noon.
Yeah.
Okay. Wednesday at 2.
9th is regular
and
time.
then that's it. We're just going to do 2 shows next week, right? Correct?
Yes, that's the current schedule.
Okay. So I will see you next Tuesday at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you then. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.